I was saying to myself today that I want to experience breakfast. It's something that I really don't do often. A, I don't really eat it, and B, it's not something I actually go out for or really make at home anymore. And it dawned on me that I have never ever on this channel talked about pancakes, and I have quite a history with pancakes, and the history is nothing epic or anything, but it's more about how as a kid growing up I used to hate them. I'm not sure if it was just the brand slash quality of the pancakes that my brother used to make at home and he was obsessed with, but I used to think that the syrup was the worst part of it. Like that Aunt Jemima freaking syrup, I just could not do it. The pancakes themselves, I just couldn't feel them. And I think it's because he had a tendency of letting them get a little on the dark side. And anything that's bready, anything that's fluffy like that, that type of texture, I always prefer for it to be a little bit more on the golden side. So a combination of too much of a burnt taste with that god-awful syrup just sealed the fate between me and pancakes. But one day in 2012, all of that changed when I attempted to make my own pancakes. And it was after my godfather showed me the way to making his favorite blueberry pancakes. So anyway, I gave it a shot, and the first thing that my mom said was she was impressed by how circular they were turning out, how perfectly I could get the shape, whereas hers always looked all kinds of like the edges were not round or anything. And I said, Ma, this is just science, all you're doing is pouring, and you gotta like help the liquid land in the way where it'll spread evenly. I really cannot explain it. As a kinesthetic learner, I just know how to go about doing such a thing without really practicing it. That's what I'm trying to say. I ended up loving those blueberry pancakes. I never really made them again, but it was a mix that was already like pre-made for you. It had like the little things in it that would eventually blow up into blueberries. I guess those would be like freeze-dried version, but they were tiny. Whatever that was, it was good. It wasn't the best thing I've had since sliced bread, but it was on its way to becoming decent. And then in more recent times, I started practicing with my own ideas of flavors for this type of thing. And then Mom and I, during the weekend after Thanksgiving, we were messing around, coming up with some stuff. So before I share with you guys what it is that we came up with, I'll ask her if she's in the mood to make them again in the near future. And that way I can tell you guys exactly what it is that went into it and make that an at-home cooking video kind of thing, because it was fun. Today I went to my favorite place ever for breakfast, Pancakes, and I believe that these folks are a local place. Therefore, I am not going to tell you where they came from. You will be able to see what they are. They look like this. Circles in a square. And what did I mention about pancakes that are a little too dark? Your girl doesn't tend to love them, and these ones are a little darker than I'm used to, but it's not a condemnation to them being gross. What I love about these is that they're just big, and I guess with that size, it allows for there to be areas that don't taste so good, but areas that don't necessarily taste bad either. So yeah, these are chocolate chip pancakes. I have been in love and obsessed with chocolate chip pancakes. Now on my pancakes, I never add butter. And if I'm going to use a sauce on it, a sweetener on it, I always do honey. All that you need in your life is honey. And that's another thing. I understand the fun behind drowning the cake with a syrup, but at the same time, I'm like, this is already sweet when I put the chocolate chips in it. Why on God's green earth would I want to make it sweeter? That's just overkill. Or maybe I've been kind of mindful of my sweet levels, and sugar has gotten to the point where it can make me gag sometimes. So pretty fluffy, pretty airy, pretty buttery. So let's give it a bite. Yeah, they're a little more burned than I prefer. In a situation like that, that's when I'll take a little bit of the syrup and just do a little bit, like, let's see. I'll show you guys what my little bit looks like. gonna be hard to show you, but that's what my little bit looks like. See, just that. And then let it spread on its own, or you can help it with a knife. But I see people like pouring the syrup on it like it's a fountain, you know, like they just smother this, let it spread all over the plate on the bottom. It's a mess, and I'm like, I can't deal with all that excess. And for this freaking patty, I guess that's about all the sugar you're gonna see me add to it, because you know the chocolate chip is sweet, so why would I make it sweeter? It doesn't make sense. But I guess some people perceive sweetness differently. Maybe some people just need extra sweetness to be able to pick up on it, just like some people need more spice to actually feel it being hot to them. I'm very simple. All I need is like cayenne pepper level of spicy, and that is already uncomfortable for me. Are they even more hot than a jalapeno? I'm not sure, but I just know that jalapeno is about as high as I'm willing to go, and in small doses. But yeah, pancakes that are more, what can I say? You can have pancake mix, but what kind of pancake mix are you going for? I would never go for Aunt Jemima. I can tell you that much. And usually the ones that I go for, when I do get around to this, they tend to be the ones where you have to actually put it all together from scratch. And because I don't have time for that, that's why I don't really do it often. But I try to go for more, I guess you could say, natural inclined ingredients. And it just tastes better. It tastes like what I imagine food was like for people back in the day when food was real. But see, chocolate. I'm enjoying this. I love that. This is exactly what I wanted, what I envisioned, what I imagined, what I was craving. Yep, and see, the bottom doesn't have any sweetener going on, of course, so it makes it a little tricky. But like I've said, the top already having its sweetener just does it. And after some minutes, as you can see, it's permeated through the air, through the little bubbles, pockets. This is the thing that makes me be a little bit defensive about considering making food for a living. And that's because what was the first thing I said as soon as I got these? I said, oh, they're a little darker than I prefer. And I was like, yeah, just like I said, what did I just say? That I don't like them to be too dark. And what is this? Really dark. So I will never forget the time that I had to try to help somebody get some stupid coffee. And I said to myself, I have never made coffee for anybody before. There's no telling what they mean by don't make it too sweet or just a little bit of sugar. What does that mean? So that's why I like the idea of bowls and kits. It's like, okay, order something, you get the supplies, then you can adjust things to your liking. But criticizing food is something that I can do if it's from a place that's generic, something like a McDonald's or something like that, because you know that their food is so copy and paste that no matter where you go, it's gonna be about the same. It's gonna taste the same. It's not like the quality of it is suddenly going to get better because the cook is somehow better. But I will say that things like this that require mindfulness, because too much of something can make the result vary. How would you be able to guess just how much brownness or how much goldenness on something is appropriate for the customer that you're serving? So this is one of those things that makes me be like, I don't mean to be picky because I'm not in a position to be picky. But if I can, I will always avoid working in a kitchen setting. Because that is one way that I gotta admit, I'm not willing to serve people. Because to me, the sole fact that you're privileged enough to get food should suffice. But then you're gonna sit there and be all picky and specific. I get it, I do it. But what I'm saying is, I as a worker, I as the feeder, I would allow for that to offend me. And that's why when I criticize food, look at the places I go. It's places that you shouldn't even be going in the first place. But yep. As you guys noticed, I had 2 pancake patties. So imagine if I would have drowned that first one with as much syrup as I can based on that little container. Now I'm getting ready to repeat that for the second patty. That's how it becomes obsessive. And on top of that, for a person who would need to be watching what they eat, do you think they're thinking about that? Do you think they're paying attention to that? Like, oh, maybe I should only have one of these, or maybe I should go just half sweet and the other half not sweet to adjust for that. They ain't thinking about any of that. And that's the dangerous part. That's when you as a consumer need to do what you need to do to be responsible and take care of yourself. And if you can't do it, then maybe this isn't the thing for you to do. Okay, this one came out the way that I intended the first round with my sweetener. See that? Kind of like a little line, let it drip, and then that's about it. That's all I'm doing. There's versions of this in which people can add powdered sugar and you can add fruit, and you know, all of that, it starts adding up and stacking up. So if that's something that were offered to me, I would be inclined to just consume half of it. And if I eat the whole thing, then that's about all I can do for the whole day. The rest of the day would have to be nothing but salad without dressing, which I never use dressing. I use oil. Well, oil could be a dressing. That and maybe grated Parmesan cheese, and that's about it. The rest would have to be nothing but vegetables and protein. Nothing sweet, but I think that's where people get in trouble. They don't measure that. I don't measure it either, but I'm conscious. I'm aware of what I have done in the day. Like, oh, if I just had the Starbucks juice, there's no way I can do this, you know. But today I'll probably end up getting the Starbucks juice because I will try to go for a little bit of a sprint, and I'm going to need a little extra carbs. So in a sense, that's why I'm loading up on carbs right now. Technically, that's still too much for me. But today, I think I'm gonna have a long workout to compensate for the days that I have had to miss this week. So I'm planning on doing a 3-hour workout. That's not something I usually do. Cardio wise, it'll be some walking, some sprinting, and then back to some rigorous walking. I'll spread it out during the day. So after this, I'm gonna let this sit for a bit. Then I'll do my first round. In about 3 hours, I'll do my next round. And in about another 2 to 3 hours, I'll do my final round. Oh, and by the way, I was offered butter. I had the choice for butter, but I'm not gonna use it. I don't like butter like that. I don't mess with it. If it's already included on something I do, like say a burger bread, a burger bun or something, then whatever, I can't help it. But me personally, adding butter, I would use oil. Well, it took me about another 4-5-ish minutes to finish all that. And that was really good. It was nice. It was satisfying. It was what I was looking for. I'm in a little bit of a somber mood. And then I'm observing some cirrus clouds up in the air. I'm going to show you guys what I'm seeing. Because sometimes it's weird to describe something that I'm looking at, but I'm not showing you what it looks like. Cirrus clouds. Cirrus clouds. So that means that in about 3 days, we can anticipate seeing some rain. I like cirrus clouds. They just look like a paintbrush just dragged across a blue canvas. I'm not really going to, at the moment at least, I'm not sure, but I'm not really going to feel it's prudent for me to share with you guys what it is that's happening that's putting me in the somber mood. But what I can say is that I guess I feel a weird sense of peace, so much so that last night and the night before that, it was a complete contrast, complete difference. You guys know how I tend to not sleep very well? Well, 2 nights ago, it was a disaster night. Just couldn't sleep. Yesterday, I didn't have the greatest of shifts, but today I'm off. And even some nights when I'm off, I don't sleep and stay asleep. I went to bed a little after midnight. I was engaged to watching something, but then I felt a natural transition into sleep. And I just embraced it. Like, I let it overcome me, and I slept. And I swear to you, I think I was able to sleep for 7 hours straight. I wish I knew exactly at what time I actually officially went to bed, if it was like half hour past midnight or maybe closer to 1 a.m. But at the very least, I can say that I slept longer than 5 hours without having my sleep interrupted. And then I woke up around 7:38, but I decided to keep browsing the internet and continue watching what I was watching the night before, because it had me inspired and engaged. And yeah, next thing I know, it's about 9:30, so I get up also to verify Dusty as alive. And my mom takes care of him in the mornings usually. But anyway, the cat was pretty much dead. He was just sleeping, and even when I walked by him, he didn't move. And I think it's because I've been running the heat, so he must be really enjoying that. And he has 2 beds now, and sometimes he'll sleep on the one that doesn't have a roof over him, but then other times at nighttime primarily he'll cave in inside his other bed, the bed that looks like a little house. But yeah, so I felt that peacefulness, and since it's something that I cannot say happens often to me, I'm glad I can embrace it, because I need it. And calming myself is something that I was dominating better about a year ago, before this season. You guys know that the fall is not a great season for me. But yeah, I think I'm slowly but surely regaining that ability that I had practiced and learned during spring of 2022. I just want to recover that. I like that I was able to eat, and I ate just enough to be satisfied. It's not like, oh my God, I'm stuffed right now. Like, I didn't overdo it. That was perfect. I planned for it. I hadn't eaten since probably like 6 p.m. yesterday. I think it was prudent for me to have a little nibble. And when I went to bed, I was still kind of hungry. So I knew that today I would want to do something a little on the big side. And then along with that, I ordered some chicken sausage. So we good. It was so good. All right, you guys. Well, that's it from me. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you soon.